Your heart works every second of every day. Shouldn't your supplements work just as hard? Introducing 3 powerhouse cardio support products from Protocol for Life Balance. Nattokinase, drawn from a centuries-old Japanese tradition. This remarkable enzyme helps maintain healthy blood flow and normal blood fluidity. Circulation you can count on naturally. Next, ubiquinol. This is the active form of CoQ10 your body actually uses, fueling cellular energy production, neutralizing harmful free radicals, and delivering superior absorption. And finally, Clinical Cardio 6. 6 powerful nutrients, 1 capsule, including L-carnitine to energize your heart, hawthorn, and Mega Natural BP grapeseed extract for healthy blood pressure, and MK7 to keep your arteries flexible. Comprehensive cardiovascular support, all in one. Protocol for Life Balance, science-based professional-grade products using ingredients backed by strong research. To order, go to drhoffman.com/protocol for life balance. That's drhoffman.com/protocol for life balance. Protocol for Life Balance is an A-rated GMP manufacturer of premium dietary supplements. Welcome back to today's Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ronald Hoffman. I'm always pleased to have a conversation with James LaValle, who's today's guest. He is, by his initial credentials, he has a Bachelor of Sciences in Pharmacy, but he's also a certified clinical nutritionist, and he is an internationally recognized clinical pharmacist, as well as author and board certified, as I said, clinical nutritionist with over 40 years, hard to believe, of clinical experience in natural products. You seem so youthful, but, I think we're both aging well. You follow your own advice. And so, Jim, you're also talking to us today about some new products from Wakanaga. Wakanaga, of course, makes aged garlic extract, which we've talked about frequently here on Intelligent Medicine. They branched out into a new line of specialty series mushrooms. And we talked about the mushrooms for sleep and mood, right, and relaxation. There is an argument to be made for smart mushrooms, and namely, there's this mushroom species called lion's mane. And that I know a little bit about, right, because typically I would use lion's mane for women in menopause and for chemo brain. I found it very helpful because with the use of chemo, you often get that sort of, it affects, it has toxic effects on brain cells. It kills the cancer, but it has widespread off-target effects. And people often feel like kind of mentally dulled and, slowed down. So what's the use case for that?
Well, there's, lion's mane's really interesting again because it has multiple components. So remember I said when you look at a well extracted mushroom, you look at that fingerprint, it has several compounds, but the most important aspects to it is that when you take it, these compounds do cross the blood-brain barrier. So they get into the brain. So they stimulate nerve growth factor. So nerve growth factor is, fantastic because what that's doing is that's improving neuroplasticity, right? The ability of the neurons to survive, regenerate, and signal, right? So when we lose neuroplasticity, we're losing our ability to rebud new neurons. We're supposed to be able to rebud new neurons. We're not just supposed to lose them.
Yeah.
So the whole thing of stimulating what's called BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor, it's all really important because there's a lot of things that start to cause the damage to your neurons. So if you're insulin resistant, that's why it's called dementia is called type 3 diabetes. If you're insulin resistant or a person with diabetes, you're damaging neurons really quick. If you're exposed to things, we know now that environmental burden can damage our neurons, not just from the side of focus, but neurologic issues like Parkinson's, right? So Parkinson's, same thing, a lot of damage to those neurons. You don't get rebudding. And what happens is those microglial cells, they basically turn on when you're affronted with a risk. And that risk could be a TBI, The risk could be something environmental.
The traumatic brain injury. Like,
Traumatic brain injury. I hit my head.
well, I'm watching these soccer players and they're hitting the ball all the time, and I'm going like, how many times can they hit the ball with their head and these fire the ball into the goal without experiencing cumulative brain damage? My goodness.
I think they have cumulative brain damage in some of them. I mean, I think it is a problem with TBIs in soccer players. So, I mean, they've shown that when people take Lion's Mane, they get cognitive improvement.
Yeah.
So people, in one study I just recently looked at, in people ages 50 to 80, they had a significant cognitive assessment improvement versus the placebo.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think the biggest problem that we have is we think, once I'm starting to really have trouble with my memory, that's when I should start to work on my memory.
Yeah.
I think if you can get in front of it, if memory and cognition is your concern, you really want to think about taking Lion's Mane. And look, the other berry on this, the aronia berries.
Yeah. What's that? I mean, this is almost the first time I've heard about aronia berry, Aronia. What's that? I mean, it's kind of an interesting ingredient. What's the story?
Yeah, it's like a supercharged blueberry, really.
Okay.
Not quite as flavorful, but you hear of blueberries being called brain berries.
Proanthocyanidins, that kind of thing?
All the anthocyanidins that are very neuroprotective and help the collagen.
Right.
And high antioxidant value, right? So you're neutralizing, when the microglial cells fire off, they release a bunch of oxidative free radicals.
Right.
And that's because they're trying to clean up the fire. So when you do the aronia berries, you're helping to neutralize that.
Okay. So aronia berries are not something you'd want to put in addition, with whipped cream because they're kind of concentrated
not
and bitter.
Not as tasty as a blueberry.
Okay, got it.
Not as tasty as a blueberry. Not bad, but not as tasty as a blueberry.
But I think that bitterness is the signature of the potency of the polyphenolic ingredients in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, very, when you look at, selenium, great. The B12's great. Aged garlic in there to really help with the, circulation. But I mean, the Lion's Mane, once again, 8-to-1 extract of a fruiting body. So a very powerful bioactive compound. You're at 150 milligrams. I mean, you'd be eating a stack of these mushrooms in order to get the amount of actives that you're getting in this.
So I know that there are clinicals probably with people who are suffering from MCI, mild cognitive impairment, or even Alzheimer's. But is there any evidence that ordinary people, busy professionals or students, trying to memorize a lot of stuff or meet a lot of demands, that it will improve their performance?
There actually are. There's studies that show the neuroprotective effects that have gotten published in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, now that we've paid our the attention to it, I think we're going to find that it's very preventative, and it makes sense that it would be, because in general, one of the biggest things that causes damage, to our brain it's chronic stress. So as your cortisol is going up, and you get what's called hippocampal retraction. The hippocampus starts to retract its receptors, and now so it gets less damage. But the problem is that retraction occurs, you don't make new progenitor cells, so you don't make new stem cells that make neurons. So why
this is in the memory center of the brain, the hippocampus?
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why this is so important, is because you're getting that brain-derived neurotropic factor and a nerve growth factor stimulus, which is helping you to kind of reestablish a normal pattern of, damage repair versus damage. And we've seen this, right? I mean, how many times have we seen people that have been under high stress, all of a sudden 2 or 3 years later, they start telling you, wow, my memory is really shot. And younger ages too. I mean, haven't you seen this complaint in younger people? I mean, I ask people all the time, like a lot of times if I'm in a fitness organization, if I'm teaching, most of those people are between 25 and 45.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think to some extent, I think it's a bit of a use it or lose it thing, because I think that over dependence on, now we have tools like AI, people are, it used to be, people literally would memorize poems and speeches as part of their classic education. There's a lot of memorization. And now it's like, if you want to write a report, you don't really have to learn the stuff. You can just click and, you'll get an AI spit up. But actually, I think some studies have shown that there is hippocampal shrinkage from long-term dependency on AI because you're really not exercising your memory faculties. You're just clicking.
I think if I remember right, this just came out. You remember 30 to 40% more when you write it down.
Yeah, even just writing it down. Yeah,
instead of a keystroke.
Yeah,
right? So which reading it.
Yeah, with handwriting, handwriting actually seems to. It's an important lesson for parents and grandparents is that teach your kids cursive and letter writing. Because if they're, at school, they give them devices and they give them whatever, Chromebooks, and it's different. It doesn't embed the memory as well. So, we're in trouble.
Absolutely. And so, which brings up what you just said, which is very valid, is at younger ages, you're seeing this degeneration taking place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, lion's mane, if I was 30 years old today, if I was 25 years old today, I would be taking lion's mane.
Indeed.
Knowing what I know now at 66, I would be protecting my brain, which I did. Like I started doing that 30 years ago. So I did it in my 40s.
Right.
And I think that it really has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Because I can still get on stage and lecture for 8 hours at a crack, and I'm still very good, get good recall on all my knowledge base. And I don't know that would have happened if I wasn't working on it. I got to be honest.
So I want to, yes to Kyolic Specialty Series Smart Mushrooms. Great. But let's talk about a portfolio of lifestyle habits that can support memory and cognition. And because I think both of us are practitioners of that. We intentionally do lifestyle things, take perhaps certain other supplements as well to complement, the lion's mane. So what is it? What's your secret to your extraordinary productivity in an age where a lot of people I think are pulling back, packing it in, thinking about heading for the golf course,
Ooh. Yeah, I got 4 books to get out in the next year. I mean, I can't be thinking about that. I mean, the first one is sleep. I really do.
Yeah, coming back to sleep.
I really do focus on trying to get a good night's sleep. I do measure, I measure it just because, I need to understand those measurements. I probably trust a Morpheus for telling me how well I'm recovering and my heart rate variability. I think heart rate variability is super important in understanding how your nervous system is functioning and whether or not those blood vessels are nice and pliable and whether or not that vagal tone that is
wearables give us some feedback. Yeah, they give us feedback.
Exactly. You need that. And then I think I personally learned how to deal with stress. I mean, I had to do that because I was a hot-headed Italian when I was young. I think learning how to cope with stress, understanding how to actually control and understand situations you're in instead of just being reactive. I think that's incredibly important. And I think not eating food, because when you get stressed, you want to eat sugar.
Yeah.
And when you eat sugar, you spike your blood sugar, but you also end up releasing more cortisol.
There's such a thing as a stress-inducing diet. There's certain food practices and food elements that actually can, in effect, rob you of memory, ultimately.
Absolutely. And then, even saturated fat, if you're genetically predisposed, you probably don't want to eat a lot of saturated fat. That'd be what's called the ApoE 3, 4, or 4 gene SNPs. If you had those, you want to watch. And then look, I mean, exercise. Yeah, for sure. How do we, and I'm still going to say, I think now we've got the problem of people who are overtraining, which can have just as big a problem as people that don't train. So people don't have good recovery habits.
Right.
And those poor recovery habits end up creating chronic inflammatory signaling. It's going to lead to triggering
Right.
cognitive issues.
And I think the single most well-established and reliable way of enhancing this BDNF, which is kind of like Miracle Grow for your neurons, is exercise. And but there's also some new information about what are called myokines, which are more likely to result from resistance exercise that enhances your muscle, your lean body mass. So I'm sure you are a practitioner of that. You do aerobic exercise, but you've also incorporated some resistance training.
I have for 50 plus years now. So yeah, I'm a big believer in you need both.
In fact, you're a
It's
consultant
that
to
simple.
Lifetime, which is a wonderful chain of really high end fitness centers across the country.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think the exercise piece is incredibly important as well. I mean, you can't get by without it. And then look, I think there's some nutrients that
Yeah.
people are aware of or not aware of. I think things like lithium orotate,
Ah.
lithium orotate, not the lithium that's given for major,
Yep.
depressions.
Yep.
That's known as Escalith,
Right.
which is
Lithium
a different
carbonate.
drug. It's
Yep.
carbonate,
Yep. Yep.
and you have to have
A lot of
blood
side
levels
effects.
drawn of
Side
that because
effects.
it's toxic.
Yep.
But lithium orotate actually phenomenal for helping to support BDNF, neuronal sparing, and 10 to 30 milligrams a day is usually plenty.
Available over the
And get a
counter.
little bit of a mood, get a little bit of a mood lift from it too.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I really have become a fan over the last 20 years
That's
of
something that I
using
should
lithium
consider
orotate.
for my regimen. I thought I had a very comprehensive regimen, but I haven't really tapped into that. But that's the result of some recent studies that showed that, people who have manic depression, they take the lithium carbonate and they actually seem to be spared somewhat the risk of cognitive decline in Alzheimer's disease. But lithium carbonate, a lot of toxicity. And so what they did is they tried a lot of different lithiums and they found that turns out that the one that's available over the counter and has been for, 25, 30 years, as long as
Right.
I can remember, actually is the one that seems to have the most brain benefits at levels way below the level that could create toxicity. So even just a little bit of lithium can be helpful. So there's that. I think fish oil, omega-3, got to put that in there, right?
Big one. I mean, especially the new full spectrum fish oils are pretty interesting too, right? That are coming out of Norway that are
Hmm.
where it's the whole food fish,
Yep.
where they're showing a bigger influx on the omega index by
Yep.
taking the full spectrum
But
versus just the isolates.
we actually have a
Pretty
sponsor
interesting.
that speaks to that. We have Big Bold Health as one of our sponsors, which is the Jeff Bland company
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Very,
offers a
very,
more
very good.
cold pressed full spectrum, that kind of hits on all the cylinders when it comes to
Yeah.
pro-resolving
Very bright.
mediators, all that stuff. Good stuff. And then, of course, and I'm a big fan of creatine, as I think you are as
Oh,
well for
yeah.
brain, right? What's up with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got to bring it up. Could probably get it to about 10 grams a day is probably better than 5. I think they're
Hmm.
starting to find out you need a little bit more. Uh, and then synapsin, obviously, ginsenoside R3 was all the primary research work that I did for a long time. And
Hang tight. What
uh,
is that?
so that's a specific ginsenoside.
Oh.
So it's called RG3.
Hmm.
It actually started out as a nasal spray
Hmm.
that was compounded by pharmacists
Hmm.
for healthcare providers because it downregulates microglial activation and kind of stops that calcium ion influx when that NMDA glutamate bridge
Wow.
breaks. And then it's actually got about 170 studies on it. I learned about it initially when I was teaching at the University of Cincinnati, and the head of the Department of Botanical Medicine from the University of Beijing was there. And because the University of Cincinnati had the largest collection, the Lloyd Library, which John Uri Lloyd was the founder of the UC College of Pharmacy, we had the largest collection of botanical information in the world.
Hmm.
I mean,
So
pre-Gutenberg press.
is it a natural derivative of, it sounds
It's a it's
genistein derivative?
actually, so when you think of ginseng,
Oh,
it has
ginseng.
it
Okay.
has eight it has eight principal ginsenosides.
Okay.
Each one of them have different benefits.
Right.
Well, the one that is the most cognitively oriented is ginsenoside R3, although RB1 also works on BDNF. And so, we found out that, hey, you could put this into a nasal spray, and it was quite effective. And then recently in a liposomal tablet where it's, multi-layered, liposome, you could do that as well. And that's interesting. So there's a lot of things I think
That's kind of like bonus round stuff that you're talking about here. I
is
have it.
bonus round.
You're ahead of the curve for me on some of these little more esoteric cognitive enhancers. So great stuff. Okay, folks, at this point, let's pause and allow one of our sponsors an opportunity to share an important message with you. So here goes. Please listen up. Your heart works every second of every day. Shouldn't your supplements work just as hard? Introducing 3 powerhouse cardio support products from Protocol for Life Balance. Nattokinase, drawn from a centuries-old Japanese tradition. This remarkable enzyme helps maintain healthy blood flow and normal blood fluidity. Circulation you can count on naturally. Next, ubiquinol. This is the active form of CoQ10 your body actually uses, fueling cellular energy production, neutralizing harmful free radicals, and delivering superior absorption. And finally, Clinical Cardio 6. 6 powerful nutrients, 1 capsule, including L-carnitine to energize your heart, hawthorn, and Mega Natural BP grapeseed extract for healthy blood pressure, and MK7 to keep your arteries flexible. Comprehensive cardiovascular support, all in one. Protocol for Life Balance, science-based professional-grade products using ingredients backed by strong research. To order, go to drhoffman.com/protocol for life balance. That's drhoffman.com/protocol for life balance. Protocol for Life Balance is an A-rated GMP manufacturer of premium dietary supplements.
Kids don't just bring home homework, they bring home germs. And those germs don't just stay with them, they spread to the whole household. That's why Clear Nasal Spray was created by a practicing physician to give parents and grandparents peace of mind. You may not think about it, but your nose is filtering out a semi-truck full of air every single day. Clear isn't just another spray. It creates an additional layer of protection in your nose that blocks bacteria and viruses before they can even take hold. Yes, even that virus. Supporting your body's defenses right where germs first try to enter. Clear is a hygiene product recommended for daily use, drug-free, non-drowsy, and safe for all ages. Just a quick spray in the morning and evening helps you cleanse your nose. Don't just hope for protection, create it. Get Clear Nasal Spray, your daily defense. Clear Nasal Spray is available at retailers nationwide and online. Check out Xlear.com for our special offers. That's Xlear.com.
Thanks for listening, and thanks for supporting our sponsors. They are what make intelligent medicine a continuing free resource to you. And now back to today's guest, Jim LaValle. Finally, I want to conclude on this note because I had a question the other day on my radio program from a listener who said, how do you get the plaque out of your arteries? And I'm actually using the, because it was kind of a simple question, get the plaque out of your arteries. No, actually what his question was, which kyolic product gets the plaque out of your arteries? And I had to explain to him, I think a little more nuanced way, that it's not something like, like a Roto-Rooter, Drano, blast the plaque out of your arteries. So, and I actually reviewed for him some of the studies we've talked about here, that there are multifaceted ways by which aged garlic extract acts to support resilience against cardiovascular disease, but it's not going to blast the plaque out of your arteries, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so
but what it does do is we know that it lowers vulnerable plaque.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's interesting now. We're finally seeing cardiologists talk about calcification is your body doing its job. It's just whether or not
statins actually accelerate calcification, but that's thought to be a good thing. It puts a cap over the vulnerable plaque.
Yeah, exactly. And so what matters is that calcification kind of moving into to limit the amount of blood flow, or is it a cap that's outside the blood vessel wall? And now with Clearly scans, we can see where is the calcium at? Is it something that's high risk or not? How much vulnerable plaque are you making? And it turns out aged garlic extract is the bomb. I mean, when you think of it, lowering blood pressure means that you're the arteries and microcapillaries are becoming more pliable. So now the heart doesn't have to work as hard. You lower oxidized LDL and lower the various other compounds that are responsible for creating plaque. And then in addition to that, I mean, it upregulates adiponectin, which is great for helping your insulin receptors to work.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So
it
many,
really,
like multiple pathways of
oh,
prevention. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean,
I,
there's 8 pathways. I mean, it limits
I think
the
even
bone loss out of
microbiome
your
mediated
spine.
effects, there are microbiome
Yes.
mediated effects. Yeah. So,
Yeah, there's so many different
yeah.
areas where it works and it's human studies,
Hmm.
multiple human studies that are showing this. So between stopping bone loss out of your bone, because people don't realize when you're losing bone, it's
Hmm.
probably going to end up on your arteries somewhere.
Hmm.
There's a clear correlation to bone loss and
Similar to vitamin
increased
K.
calcium score.
Similar to the action of vitamin K, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, okay. Well, all right. So, the answer, and I answered it, try not to answer it simplistically, uh, but, and the product that I recommended was the one that we like, cardiovascular and immune, which is the 1200 milligram version of aged garlic extract. It's kind of the more
That's
ultra
right.
potent version of that, of which you need to take 4 per day for
Right.
optimal cardiovascular prevention. Yeah. So, but, I just thought I'd clarify that for our listening audience,
Right.
because I think, we have to work in this field to enhance people's scientific literacy so they have a better understanding of the concepts behind this, because I think too often we kind of oversimplify the message.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I think no, there should be no one more interested in your body than you.
Right.
Right? It's like, yes, I always tell this to people when they come into me and I talk to them, I just say, I just saw a really bad, I mean, an LPA of 400 with an
Nice.
ApoB of 115. Like they had it all, right? They had the trifecta. And I said, just to kind of help motivate you, you know, you know, you end up dying from a heart attack, and all your coworkers are going to be really sad, and they're going to tell great stories of old, right? The stories of yore,
Yeah.
and then about 2 weeks later, your desk is filled, and nobody's talking about you anymore. So nobody's going to care about you more than you. So
Yeah.
you gotta really lean into being proactive.
Right. Memento mori. Imagine your own decline, and, becoming aware, because we all, I think, have a little bit of illusion of immortality. And that's why some people defer, all that important prevention work that we should be doing. So good stuff. All right. So anything to add on the mushroom line? Because it's the Kyolic Specialty Series mushrooms. You can find out about them at kyolic.com, or, you can speak to someone. They've got knowledgeable people who can help you select the right product for you. 1-800-421-2998. And of course, available at all retail stores. Have they rolled these products out in the retail stores? Have you seen them on the shelves yet?
They're getting out there, yeah. So they
Okay.
should be able to find them. Certainly, they can always go online and look for them as well. But I mean, look, I think both of these products. I'm very proactive on sleep. I take something to help make sure my brain goes down every night. I think this is both of these are very good cognitive, supportive, and just generalized health.
Hmm.
I mean, you want a better night's sleep. You want your brain to feel revitalized and rejuvenated, and you're going through your lymphatic clearing, and you want to be able to rebuild neurons as you're aging. I mean, they really are kind of an interesting one-two punch.
I think, people should look at it this way. Sleep is the most important work you may do all day in any given day. You think of your daytime accomplishments, man, they're probably nothing compared to all the catch up that you're experiencing if you have a really good restorative night of sleep. So
Oh yeah,
get
100%.
get your sleep squared away. All right, great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to our next conversation, and perhaps I'll run across you, at a future conference, because I know that you are instrumental at the. Just for a listening audience, you are very instrumental with something called A4M, and we have health
Right.
practitioners who are listening. And so, what this is done. This is a traditional event that is held in Las Vegas at the end of
That's right.
December. So for health practitioners, what can they expect to see there?
Well, you've got 3 days of phenomenal speakers, all on like the cutting edges of not just the longevity, but performance aging. What are the things that we can do to really help people create their best outcomes in their life? You've got a lot of great clinicians and researchers that present on the big stage. And then there's actually courses that providers could be taking that are in smaller groups as well. And we'll have 10,000 people there, all providers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, this coming December. So it's pretty exciting. And I've been very, very proud to be the co-chair there and help to guide that organization now, probably for well over 2 decades now. It's
And this,
amazing how much time has gone. I didn't even real. It was funny. I looked at my first presentation I did there. I was like, oh my gosh, that was almost 30 years ago.
it's the abbreviation is AFORM, the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. And, what's interesting is that since it started, and I think the last time I attended was, maybe in the 20th century, I don't know, perhaps the early 2000s. It's a long time since I've been there, but there have been tremendous advances in what is called anti-aging medicine and plausible advances. And this is a happening area. And if you are a health practitioner, and even if you're a conventional internist or, a
Right.
gerontologist or something, you really should consider going because you'll come up to speed so quickly on some of the really exciting trends. And not everything's going to pan out, but these are really future forward people who are talking about some real plausible avenues towards life extension and also health span extension. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, look, we're the biggest organization that fearlessly did bioidentical hormone
Yes.
teaching, and thousands of docs how to do that when it wasn't so popular over the last 20 years, and now all of a sudden, the data was wrong, and
Yep.
turns out we were right. And,
Indeed.
and I think on the peptide front, we've been teaching peptides now for the last 15 years to healthcare providers. And we're pretty excited about what I think is that. I mean, obviously, they're somewhat legitimized anyway, right? GLP-1s and insulin, and there's peptides already in the market. So, but I do think that we're looking at it from a different lens now of how do we improve health span, right? Which is just a different question to ask than how do we cure this disease? And I think more of us need to work towards, how do we cure, people's poor health and get them back into health span. And I think we're at this great, epic bubble that I think, for us, maybe we'll have a couple bronze statues in Central Park that the pigeons can all do their business on when it's all over, right?
Indeed. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Well, hey, give them hell in Washington when you testify, and don't take the fifth, okay? Because that's a bad look. That's a bad look. I'm sure you'll be very articulate when you talk to the folks at the FDA about removing impediments to access to products that we need. So thank you so much for all that you do. Okay, that is Jim LaValle. Thank you, Jim. We'll get back with you in a few months, find out about what else is new. I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman, and this is the Intelligent Medicine Podcast. I want to thank you for listening to the Intelligent Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast app, and get new episodes automatically downloaded every weekday. And please give us a rating and review. It truly helps new people discover intelligent medicine. The Intelligent Medicine Podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice, and no doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Finally, please visit drhoffman.com and discover everything Intelligent Medicine has to offer, including frequently updated, unbiased health news and fully vetted product and supplement recommendations. You're listening to Intelligent Medicine, a resource to help you take control of your health We offer a balanced, objective analysis of all your health, wellness, and aging options, both conventional and alternative. Now you can take your engagement to the next level by joining FullScript. FullScript is my online dispensing platform that only offers curated, professional-grade supplement brands that I know and trust. Never counterfeit or expired, always stored and shipped correctly. Just go to dearhoffmanstore.com for more information and to start your free FullScript account. Buying through FullScript offers fast, free shipping, optional refill reminders, a mobile-friendly site. It's safe, secure, and HIPAA compliant and offers world-class support. Just go to dearhoffmanstore.com. You'll get access to the supplements and features you need to help you achieve your wellness goals, including my custom targeted protocols that combine the products I recommend to address specific needs, heart health, immune support, and much more. It's all at dearhoffmanstore.com. dearhoffmanstore.com.